was ready to start the show. Then XSplit crashed. I think we're all here, though. I think we're live. I think we're officially doing it. We either are or we aren't. I guess we'll find out real soon now, won't we? Before we get started, I have a very special announcement. I'm giving away Poker Coaching Premium. Everything. I'm giving it away, all of it away, completely for free. No credit card required. Access to everything on the site from, I think, the 16th to the 20th. Does that sound right? Let me look at the webpage real quick. The website is pokercoaching.com/all-access. Yeah, November 16th to the 20th. Everyone can try out everything because, you know, why not? Sometimes you want to splash the pot a little bit, you know? Black Friday's coming up. We'll probably be doing a sale then. So I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to try the site before they even consider signing up to the site. We're not like the other training sites that try to keep everything a secret and don't want to tell anybody. I fully recognize I have substantially more content than you can all possibly get through in 5 days. You could binge everything on the site and not get through it in 5 days. Again, big differentiator between us and the other sites. A lot of them have about 12 hours of content. We have many thousands. So check it out. Totally worth it. It's totally worth the $0 price tag, that's for sure. Hope it's worth the $0 price tag. Anyway, check that out, pokercoaching.com/all-access. You can check out everything. All right. Today, what are we going to be discussing? Today we're going to be discussing dealing with burnout. Dealing with burnout. This is something that a lot of you ask me about, and you're not going to like the answer to what I'm going to say to you, but a lot of people who complain about burnout probably don't actually know what burnout is. A lot of them think they're burnt out, but in reality, they're just on a marginally bad run. Someone told me this a long time ago, and it's very true. They said that you will run worse than you could possibly think is possible at some point in your career. And it's true. I've had multiple horrible runs. Very good example of this. I had 2 World Series of Pokers with 0 cashes. I was the big loser, you know? And I feel like I showed up and played decently well. At least wasn't like punting off my stack. I'm telling you, every day what would happen, I would show up at noon. I'd play the tournament till about, 8 or 9 o'clock. I'd get it all in flipping, and I'd lose. Happened every day for like 40 days. What can you do about that? Well, the answer is not a whole lot. Continue playing great, right? It's not like I sat there and I just dwindled down and blinded out or anything. But you have average stack. You get your ace king, they get their jacks, and you lose. There's not a whole lot you can do in those scenarios. And I think you're going to find that people typically get burnt out when they are either failing at something, like struggling and failing repeatedly, or just doing the same monotonous thing over and over again. And I think those two types of burnouts probably feel a little bit different. Like the super downswing poker burnout feels almost hopeless to some extent, unless you've done substantial study away from the table and you know with a high degree of certainty that the plays you are making are fine. Like I was able in both of those bad runs to look at my play, recognize I think I'm playing at least acceptably. Like I'm sure I wasn't focusing to the best of my ability or whatnot, but whatever. I was still very confident. I was very profitable in the games, and kept showing up and kept doing it. You may say, but what happens if you run out of a bankroll? Well, you're not going to run out of bankroll because you're properly bankrolled, right? If you're not properly bankrolled, you shouldn't play to begin with. And fortunately, I was properly bankrolled going into the World Series of Poker to the point where if I lost 40 tournaments, yeah, it would suck, but I'd still be properly bankrolled. And doing things like that to protect yourself, protect your future profitability is very, very important. A lot of people take all the money they have out to Vegas, lose 40 tournaments, and then they're broke, which is not what you want to do. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure you're being as wise as you can away from the table and not doing anything like super tilty or stupid. What a lot of people do wrong is, well, they take their whole bankroll to Vegas and they're willing to lose every penny of it, or the vast majority of it. Or maybe they're willing to go in debt if they run poorly. And you have to realize that that is not good. If you're going to just be acting like a degenerate, then yeah, you're going to have 6 swings and it's going to feel terrible. But as a professional, you're going to experience this too, and you have to realize that that is something you will inevitably experience. But first things first, when you're dealing with the poker downswings, if you know that you are definitively a winning player, and you know every time you show up, win or lose, you're going to extract some amount of equity when you play, why would you care if you lose? Because you know you're going to lose sometimes. You know you're going to go on downswing sometimes. Why would you care? And the answer, really, there's like no good answer. I mean, I don't know. Tell me why you would care if you know you're going to go on a downswing. Why would you care if it inevitably happens, right? Like, doesn't make logical sense if you think about it. Just because everybody else gets tilty and mad, well, you don't have to act like everybody else. Everybody else fails for a reason, and one of the reasons is because they butcher themselves, especially when things go poorly. What are my thoughts on Harrah's in New Orleans? I believe it is a casino near the water. Which book should you buy first for a low-stake tournament player? Check out Mastering... No. What's the name of this book? Got so many books. Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. There we go. Check it out at jlpoker.com/mastering. I think what happens to a lot of people whenever they feel the poker burnout for the first time is that they often are not putting in a lot of volume. We already know here that volume cures variance, right? They're not putting in substantial volume, and they're probably also not playing with an edge, and they lose for something like 6 months straight, and they think 6 months is a lot. But in reality, if they're playing like one tournament a week, how many tournaments is that in a downswing? 28? 20 something? Let's say they lose 25 tournaments in a row. They look at that and think that that's like the worst downswing they could possibly have. But in reality, 25 tournament downswing is normal. Normal, expected, and standard. And you should not be really even all that concerned if you have that type of downswing. And what happens to a lot of people is they're playing $200 buy-in tournaments, and if they lose $5,000, they're stone broke because they weren't playing properly bankrolled, right? So it turns out if you do not treat poker professionally, well, you're not going to experience professional level results. And I understand that in this scenario, I am talking to various segments of the poker community, right? Because some people play very recreationally, some people play very professionally, right? Like I'll play 25 tournaments in a day whenever I'm playing online, and it's just like normal. And sometimes we just break every tournament, right? And that happens every once in a while, and you have to be okay with that. How long have I played poker for? You're a new viewer. Welcome, Stretch Buddy. I've been playing poker since 2003. Maybe 2002, somewhere in there. I'm an old man at this point. Only, how many years is that? 17 years in the game? All right. You think that most people think that being a good player means they are never going to lose. A lot of people do think that. Understand that poker is a volume game. It's a volume game. Do breaks from poker exist / are they a good idea? Well, let's talk about this, right? Say you are burnt out. Let's say you are having a downswing. Let's say you're not even definitively sure if you're a poker player or a good poker player. Let's say you are playing poker because you're playing primarily for fun, right? Let's say you're playing primarily for fun. If you're playing primarily for fun and you're not having fun, why are you doing it? At some point it becomes, I'm not going to say necessarily an addiction, but like a bit of degeneracy to some extent. Like, why are you doing something that you're not even enjoying, right? And it turns out that a great way to get out of feeling burnt out is to do something different. Have I ever felt burnt out? Of course I have. I'm telling you, these 2 periods where I lost 40 tournaments in a row and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, yeah, I was burnt out. I was annoyed. However, I didn't care all that much. I realized the feelings and thoughts going on in my brain are irrational. I was very fortunate. Both times after I lost 40 buy-ins, I won about $1 million in a poker tournament. Turns out that's always nice. That said, I could have easily lost those tournaments too. But I realized every time I show up, listen, this is how I think about poker tournaments. Every time I buy in, at the start of the tournament, My job is to play to the best of my ability. I know I'm going to be prepared ahead of time. I know I'm going to be playing properly bankrolled. I know I'm going to stay focused and play decently well during the tournament. Knowing these things, knowing the study and strategy I've developed away from the table, all I'm going to do is buy in, implement my strategy, and then I will get X amount of ROI out of that tournament, depending on what the tournament is. So let's say I'm playing a $1,000 tournament at the World Series of Poker. Maybe we have, I don't know, let's say 50% return on investment. I typically try to be conservative with my return on investment estimations because maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Maybe I'm just going to catch a super bad run. Who knows, right? So let's say I expect to get 50% ROI. It means I'm going to show up, play all day, play to the best of my ability. Win or lose, I made $500. That's it. If I win the tournament for $500,000, if I lose the tournament, doesn't make a difference. It honestly doesn't make much of a difference to me. And I know that may sound crazy to some people, but I think that's a really good mindset. It almost turns poker into a essentially full-time job where I'm going to show up, play the game, have infinite variance, but the variance doesn't matter because I'm properly bankrolled, right? And then I'm going to extract my ROI. So if I go on a downswing, why do I care? I'm showing up, I'm playing, I'm extracting my ROI. Win or lose, it doesn't make a difference. The problem is again, a lot of people don't know that they are winners in the games because they don't have good data. And also, they're not playing properly bankrolled, and they're also not putting in good volume, right? Like right here, Andy says, is 1,200 tournaments a good sample to determine if you're winning or not? Depends. It depends, right? How many players are in the tournaments? If you're playing 5,000 person tournaments, no. Because you may not have a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh in that 1,200 tournaments, and it just be normal, right? But if you're playing 50 person tournaments, then yeah, probably. So, Michael, we're going to talk about work and being burnt out at work later. First, we're talking about being burnt out from the losing point of view. Whenever you're working, at least you're not losing. It's just kind of monotonous, right? So let's talk about first. We'll wrap up talking about when you are losing at something. Realize that you can't be emotionally wrapped up in the idea of I'm going to be happy or sad based on my results. And look, I'm all for celebrating successes and analyzing, figuring out why you're failing, but realize you can play great, or you can win hands and still be playing poorly, right? Something I always ask my students to do. Ask them to bring me some hands to review. You know what they do every single time? They bring me all their losing hands. Next session, I tell them to bring me winning hands, and it turns out quite often they're screwing up a lot of those too whenever they're new to studying poker with me. And a lot of people think when they are winning, they must be doing something right. And they think when they're losing that they must be doing something wrong, but quite often that's just not the case. And if you look at a lot of the world-class players, they're going to go on downswings, and when they're losing, they're just running bad. Or they're running into unfortunate spots where, say they have an obvious bluff scenario, but they just happen to run into the nuts. It happens. Sometimes it can happen over and over and over again, right? So I would definitely recommend that you try to chill out your emotions a bit. This is a tough thing for me to say to other people, though, because I realize I don't think I experience the full range of emotions that other people do, or if I do, I don't react to them like other people do. And look, if you all watched me win my first WPT a long time ago, I was just kind of annoyed that I got it in bad. I won $1 million, but I was just annoyed that I got it all in with ace 2 against ace 8 or whatever he had, and I spiked on him. And Mike Sexton said, "Smile, son, you just won $1 million." But I didn't care. It didn't make a difference. Because really, what's it matter? I'm not going to go spend the money. I'm just going to put it right in my bankroll and keep playing poker. It's none of it matters. That's really it. I think a lot of people play poker with the idea of I am trying to win life-changing money. But I don't think I ever really approached poker from the idea of I'm trying to win life-changing money. It's more of I'm showing up, studying to the best of my ability, implementing my strategy. And if I do that, I'll be financially secure eventually. And I don't know, it's weird, right? It's people play poker for the swings. A lot of people do, right? And it's important to realize why you play the game. I never really play poker to get my gamble on or whatever, right? But if you're playing poker to get your gamble on, and that's the main priority you're trying to accomplish here, then you should be celebrating your wins, because you're not actually playing to win or lose money. You're playing because you want to experience swings and get a rush, right? And if that's the case, when you win a tournament, go out and blow all the money and party it away. Go buy your significant other a piece of jewelry. Go buy a new car, buy a new house, do whatever you want, right? But like, that's not really the thing that I'm trying to do. And like, whenever I win, I don't feel the need to celebrate at all, because I know whenever I go and play that, let's say $10,000 tournament that I won for $1 million, I just won my ROI, probably 30% ROI. So I showed up, played my $10,000 game, won $3,000 on average. They just happened to pay it all to me up front, right? And that's it. Well, we have a poker coaching Black Friday sale. Yes, we actually will let you check out the entire site completely for free if you've never checked out Poker Coaching Premium. We're getting you all access, pokercoaching.com/all access. That will start on the 16th and go until the 20th. After that, spoiler alert, we'll have some sort of Black Friday sale. If you want to check it out ahead of time, you can do it. We're not like the other training sites that keep everything secret and want to charge you thousands of dollars up front for 8 hours of content. We're going to give you thousands of hours of content for $0. Try it out. See if you like it. Insomnia, welcome. Good morning, good morning. Hello from Japan. Hello. What sample size should you expect? When does EV Big Blind 100 and Big Blind 100 get close? Sometimes they never do. 2 big blind difference is normal. Like I would tell you that's definitely normal over 50K hands. What if someone's raising every hand and you can't play your proper game? Your proper game should adjust to whatever your opponents do wrong. If they're playing every hand, just widen your range and play better hands than them. If you're winning, should you have somebody reviewing your hands? I have people review my hands all the time. I mean, probably. You took shots at 25 no limit, and you're back playing $10 no limit again, feeling burnt out because you're continuously grinding and winning $4 per hour. Understand, is $4 per hour really that bad? You need a whopping like $500 bankroll, and if you play for a day straight, look, think about this. If you play for 10 hours, you make $40, right? If you play for 100 hours, you make $400. You literally double your money in 100 hours. Is that right? Something like that. You double your money in 100 hours. That's amazing. That's amazing. If you can win half a buy in an hour, you'll get rich quickly. That said, you have to continue improving your skills, right? You said you took shots at 25 no limit. It didn't go well. Well, that's fine. Move back down. Grind up the bankroll again. Keep trying over and over and over and over and over. And eventually you will break through. How many of my courses would you have to take before you start seeing noticeable difference in your gameplay? 10 minutes? 10 minutes worth of content? 23 Smooth Criminal said, you studied the first fundamentals course and then you won the first tournament you played. Good. Does your pre-flop raise size change if the players are very, very deep stacked? Yeah, I typically go a little bit bigger. Okay, now let's talk about in work. So we've talked about downswings based on losing, right? The answer is realize you're probably just experiencing normal things, right? This is just a normal swing. Also, understand that you just can't care all that much. You signed up for a game with a ton of variance. And if you're not cool with that, you should find a different game, right? 100 hours for $400, McDonald's pays better than that. Yeah, but whenever you work at McDonald's, you have to get up and go to McDonald's. You have to understand, if you can have a hobby where you get paid to play it, it's pretty amazing, right? This is coming from someone who used to work at McDonald's. I'd rather sit and play poker than work at McDonald's. And I didn't even mind working at McDonald's. All right. Harmony Pain, I don't really know what you're asking. Email support@pokercoaching.com with any support questions. I think a lot of people don't understand that whenever you're starting playing poker, your goal should not be to necessarily win money. Your goal should be to get as good at poker as you can possibly get. Okay? You need to get as good at poker as you can possibly get so that you can move up and play higher stakes. This is why I think people playing, 12 tables or 24 tables of $10 no limit, 5 cent, 10 cent, is a terrible idea because you're not actually getting better at poker. You're just making $10 an hour. Playing poker for a living gets boring after a few years. Everything gets boring after a few years for the most part, so you gotta change it up. It's important to make sure you change things up. As a poker player, once you become a good, solid, winning poker player, What do? Well, you start branching out into other games. For example, I used to play tons and tons of sit and goes. I would play about 3,000 sit and goes a month back when I was 18 to 22 years old. And what do? Well, from there, we start branching out into tournaments. I started playing tournaments on Sundays, multi-table tournaments, right? And that changes it up. It gives you something to look forward to. It gets you excited, right? Because you get to go and learn something new. And then, after I got good at tournaments, I would spend about a day a week learning some new game, like 7-card stud, or PLO, or Raz. I spent about 6 months playing those games, about a day a week. And I got reasonably competent at all of them, right? And you may find some potential opportunities, like I played PLO a lot when it was popular back in the day, when nobody knew what they were doing. I really played stud or Raz a whole lot. Those games seem basically dead. But, you know, like you experiment and you branch out, right? And that adds a change of pace to things. Like I know a lot of people who love playing mixed games. I'm not sure mixed games are actually all that profitable, but a lot of people love that because it changes things up, right? I completely agree, though. If you do the exact same thing all day, every day, you're going to be burnt out quickly. And that is far from ideal. The Malcor won a 2,600-person tournament for 280 buy-ins. And good job, good work. Good job, good work. Let's see. People get upset because you raise their limps. Good. Good. How late is too late to rebuy in a tournament? When your ROI goes to negative, right? You like my haircut. My wife hates this haircut for some reason. I don't know why. I told him to just give me a trim because I'm going to be on TV over the next day or two. I'm going to Vegas to do something. And they cut it kind of funny. And my wife says I look ugly now. That's nice. That's nice. Do you recommend cash games or tournaments when you're just starting? Typically, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Harmony, I don't know. Email support, please. I'm in the middle of a webinar right now. I don't know if you can tell. Please email support@pokercoaching.com. Hello from Japan. I've never been to Japan, but I hope to get there one day. Burnout can be mitigated by going to a casino you've never been to before. Sure. Change it up, right? Do all sorts of things that you don't normally do. Like this can be playing different games. This can be playing different venues. This can be studying with new people. It can be studying different kinds of content, studying with new programs, etc., right? That said, if you're not already a winning poker player and you're not having a good time, you're not going to like this, but maybe you should find something else to do with your time. A lot of people who complain to me about burnout probably aren't winning poker players. You're going to find that when you're winning money playing poker and you're crushing the games, you don't really get burnt out. I've grinded literally 10 to 12 hours a day, every day for 3 years straight. I took half a day off every year for Christmas, and that was it. And I never got burnt out the entire time. I played, studied, played, studied, played, studied, played, studied. Did it for 3 years straight. I'm making like 20 or 30,000 bucks a month. That was a lot of money for an 18-year-old kid. And I loved it, right? To be fair, I had essentially no social connections. I had no real friends besides my internet poker friends. And, that I was okay with it because I was a young, dumb kid. But, like, it's easy when you're winning, right? Like, if you have a great job and you're making plenty of money, you don't really care all that much. The times whenever you get burnt out or when I think you're kind of not progressing, when you're kind of doing the monotonous grind over and over and over and over and over again, and you're also not seeing any real substantial success. And I think you have to make sure you have realistic expectations, right? A lot of jobs out there, essentially don't give you any way to actually progress up the ranks beyond grind it out for a year, right? Like in a lot of jobs, you'll get an evaluation every year and maybe get a little raise, or maybe you don't. Whereas in things like poker, they give you the opportunity to grind for a year and turn no money into a ton. Like someone earlier said, they can make $4 an hour playing No Limit Hold'em, and they get to double their money every month, right? Every 100 hours, they get to double their money. Could you imagine doubling your money every month? Like, that's just insane. The opportunity is amazing. That doesn't happen in the real world, I can tell you that. And it's very, very important to recognize that just because the potential exists to have big swings or to, essentially participate in a meritocracy where if you're really good at something, you get disproportionately rewarded, doesn't mean you're going to experience that. A lot of pain that people experience, a lot of frustration people experience comes from unrealistic expectations or maybe even realistic expectations that are not achieved. And I highly recommend you try to not have expectations, right? I would recommend you try to not have expectations. Everyone wants to know what game I'm going to play. You can't discuss what games you're going to play. I'm probably not even allowed to say I'm going to go play a game. Doing a few other things too. It's actually just not going to play. It's going to be a good, short, concise trip. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll know whenever you know. Maybe I'll make a video blog out of it. Why don't I challenge Nagy Hunl? I don't have any desire to challenge someone at poker who I don't know, I've barely interacted with, and, don't really have anything against. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Does frustration lead to burnout? Sure, of course. Am I going to play high-stakes poker? No, not this season. Maybe next season. I hear there may be another season, so that's good. You got an integrity refund from Stars, basically saying that people were cheating you. Yeah. I remember one time, back in the day, I was playing Sit and Goes on Stars, and I was winning like $20,000 a month, and I got a refund for like $6,000 saying that I had been cheated over the last month. I'm like, wow, they're not very good at cheating. Because I'm still beating them. Hello. You want to say hello real quick? Yeah. Yeah? You want to say hello real quick? Can you say hello? Hi. Are you happy? Mm. Can you say happy, Thomas? Happy Thomas. That's right. Happy Thomas. What are you going to do today? What? You're going to work? Yeah. You're going to go work? I'm going to make you go work? Yeah. What's your job? Oh, what's this? Show everybody. Show them. Show them. What is this? Tell them. What is it? Baby. Oh, you see a baby? Yeah. Yeah, who is that baby? Oh, a baby. Yeah, that's a baby. No, that's my computer. All right, can you say wave bye-bye and say have a nice day? Bye-bye. Can you say have a nice day? Bye. Okay. You're a good boy. Go play. See you. Bye-bye. Hey. You gotta go. What are you trying to do? What are you doing? Got to go. Hey. Daddy. That is Daddy. You're right. Mommy. No, that's Alex's car. That's Alex's car. All right. See ya. Bye-bye. Love you. He thinks Alex's car is mommy. But no, that's Alex's car. Let's see. You want to get up to $500, then you lose playing tournaments. Well, understand, Larry, that you need to get good at one game. Whenever you're learning to play poker, get good at one game and play that game a ton. Then once you have plenty of money, branch out. I didn't start playing multi-table tournaments until I had about $100,000 in my account, because why in the world would I want to risk a few $1,000 playing tournaments if I knew I wasn't good at them? Just because you're good at tournaments does not mean that you are good at, or just because you're good at cash games doesn't mean you're good at tournaments. Is 75 by a downswing playing 200-person field standard? I mean, there's a site, pokerdope.com. Check that out. That will give you understandings of standard variants that you'll experience. When you're playing tournaments, you focus on 5 words. I don't focus on any words like this. I don't know. This is not how my brain works. I'm focusing on playing good poker. Like in my mind, marathon. Like, what does thinking of marathon even mean to you? Like, I'm just playing every hand that pops up in front of me. If anything, playing tournaments to me feels like a sprint because I'm playing 12 tables at a time and just bam, 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 bam. I'm sprinting for about 12 hours. 12 tabling 12 hours is not a marathon. It is a sprint for sure. But like finishing, like I'm telling you, I don't think like this at all. I don't have any words in my head. I try to have as clear of a mind as I possibly can so that I can just put the puzzle together every single hand I'm playing. If you don't know poker is a puzzle game, you have to figure out what your opponent's range is and how your range interacts, and then figure out the best strategy. That's what I'm trying to figure out when I'm playing. I'm not trying to think, be calm, stay disciplined, etc. Right? Like my job, I'm just going to play good poker. How many days was I playing back then to win that amount of money? I was playing $200 buy and sit and goes for the most part. I was playing about 16 tables at a time, and I was playing about 10 hours a day. It's just a volume game, right? I mean, do the math, right? I was playing 3,000 tournaments a month with about a 5% ROI. You make $10 per game. $200 times 5% is $10 per game. Times 3,000 is, times 3,000 is $30,000 a month. It's roughly what I was doing. It's just a math game. Poker's a math game. You can figure out how much you'll make if you just figure out your ROI and figure out how much volume you're putting in. What's the reasonable expectation for hours you need to study to experience results live? I mean, live is a crazy thing, because in live poker, you're going to experience long time periods in terms of downswings, because you just don't get to play all that much volume, right? Did know you won 7 million, thought it was like 100K. I'm not sure what you're saying. It was easy. What's my worst downswing in terms of buy-ins? I think in terms of dollars, it was like 400K. I was probably playing average buy-in of maybe like 5K then, 3K then, somewhere in there. So I don't know, 100 buy-ins live, something like that. But, keep showing up playing great. It's actually a bit, it was a bit easier to get out of these downswings back in the day because they had like bigger buy-in tournaments. I've been pretty fortunate where I've won a lot of the bigger ones that I played. Like I had $2 million cashes and a 750K cash. And it turns out if you're down like 400K and you just win a tournament for $1 million, it's like, oh, who cares, right? But nowadays, you get down 400K, which is still possible because there's lots of re-entry tournaments and stuff. But if you win a big tournament now, it's for like 250. And then you're still down. Am I going to train my boys to play poker? I'm going to teach them to play all sorts of games. I actually just won an auction for Mike Sexton's chess set. There was an auction for some of Mike Sexton's things, and I won his chess set. So I'm going to be teaching my boys chess using Mike Sexton's chess set. Mike Sexton has a book called Life's a Gamble. Let me show it to you. Here it is. I helped get this published. Glad we got it done. Very, very good biography. It has pictures of Mike Sexton. He wrote me a letter in it. So nice. He says, I'm a great player, teacher, and ambassador in the poker world. Thanks for having me write this book. That's what we're going for. Check out that. That's a very, very good book. Anyway, I got his chess set. So we're going to be teaching our kids chess using that chess set. I learned chess when I was a kid. Does a blocker bet on the river make sense on Queen 7-7-3-4 on a board? I don't know. Andy, I don't even know what's happening in this hand. Play PKOs if you want to decrease variance. You have to understand, good poker players want the poker games to be winner take all because good poker players take first place more often than not. Now, you're going to have infinite variance in winner take all games, and they don't even exist, really. But if you're the best player in the field, you'd much prefer to be playing winner take all tournaments. Whenever prize money gets distributed to people who take, busts almost in the beginning of the tournament because they collected a bounty then busted, that's not good for professionals, typically. Now, in PKOs, people do make a lot of errors. If you want to make sure you don't make errors, go to pokercoaching.com, go to the tool section. There's a PKO bounty calculator there. Make sure you use that every time you're playing PKO tournaments so you don't screw up. Also, we have an all-access pass. Starts on the 16th of this month. Check out pokercoaching.com/all-access to sign up. Costs $0. Do you think there'll be a live World Series of Poker next year? Probably. Will I be there? I don't know. I would like to see a few big live tournaments run before I show up to play the big live tournaments. Only 45 likes. Yeah, people don't like talking about dealing with burnout. If you like this, click like so I know you like this topic. If you don't click like, I'll know you don't like this topic. Also, there's a notification bell, by the way. If you click the notification bell, it's down there somewhere. On YouTube, it will tell you whenever I get online. And if you're on Twitch, you can also be notified via email whenever I come online. There's some way to change the notification. That way you never miss a show. What would you recommend to someone who wants to win a lot at poker and wants to become a multi-millionaire like me? It's really easy. Want me to tell you what to do? Get a proper bankroll. Find a game you can beat. Play it a ton. That's what I did. I started with $50. Literally $50. Never went broke. Never came close to going broke. Had downswings, like everybody does, but never came close to going broke. I always put in substantially more volume than the vast majority of my peers. And that allowed me to consistently win long term. Everybody else is having giant swings. My results are just pretty much always close to trickled up. It's actually funny. My friends and I were backing someone recently who's a very good poker player, and someone was commenting like, Jonathan, every time you play online, like you play Sunday, you like win a tournament or final table of a tournament every Sunday. Whereas the guy we're backing, he like goes a month without any wins. Why is this happening? Because like I think the guy's better than us, right? And the answer is he's not putting in volume. You don't put in volume, you're gonna have infinite swings, right? But if I'm sitting there playing 40 tournaments in a day, and the other guy's playing 6, you know, I'm putting in one day, putting in as much volume as the other player does in 2 months, right? And, well, not 2 months. My one day equals that player's, 7 days, something like that. And turns out, if you put in a lot of volume, you pretty much can't lose if you have an edge. So that's it. Find a game you can beat, play it a ton, be properly bankrolled. How do you multi-table tournaments? I load them all up and I play. I would recommend playing on sites that have good volume. If you have options to play on 888, you can also play on PokerStars and Party Poker. PokerStars and Party Poker both have very good volume. So I would definitely recommend either of those sites. What's the best book for tournament poker? I would recommend Mastering Small Stakes and No Limit Hold'em first. How does one change their outlook at poker so they're not emotionally invested when taking a loss? That's a tough question because a lot of people are taught that losing money is bad and winning money is good. And you have to break that thought process in your mind. Winning equity is good and losing equity is bad. What's the most important filter on Hold'em Manager 3 to spot leaks? Look, I'm not the best at this. I would tell you to talk to someone like Alex Fitzgerald. He's very good at this type of thing. He's done database analysis for thousands and thousands of players. Typically, though, you want to look for spots where you are losing money, especially in spots where you perceived that you would be winning money. Like an easy example of this is pre-flop. Let's say you have, I don't know, King Jack offsuit under the gun. Let's say you raise King Jack offsuit every time under the gun and you lose money over 50,000 hands with the King Jack offsuit under the gun. It means you're either playing it poorly post-flop or it's just not a profitable hand, right? So, well, you could be playing it poorly pre-flop too. But look for spots where you think you are winning, but you're actually not. Can you still be a winning player if you're bad at post-flop poker? I would tell you to get good at post-flop poker. That's the right answer. Let's see. Phil Nagy said I'm unbanned on Twitch. So you all may not know that I actually got banned on Twitch a long time ago. This must have been like 8 or 10 years ago now because I streamed this terrible game that was not allowed to be streamed on Twitch. It was called Poker. No Limit Texas Hold'em. They banned you if you streamed No Limit Texas Hold'em. I didn't know this, so they banned me on Twitch. But then, 6 months later, a guy named Jason Somerville started streaming, and they liked him. So then they made poker legal, and they didn't ban him, but they banned me. But that's okay. I got unbanned on Twitch a long time ago. We're streaming live on Twitch right now. But no, do I have any desire to play on a site where they don't want me to play? No, look, I realize if someone tells you they don't want you playing on their site because they don't like you for any reason, maybe they don't like the way that you speak openly and honestly about them. Maybe you're a cheater on the site. Maybe you are a bum hunter on the site. Whatever, right? Whatever you do. If they don't like you, you should not feel the desire to try to stick it to them or show them who's boss or anything like that. Why are you all trying to fight, right? Somebody doesn't like you, don't participate. And it's interesting because with places like WPN, if anything, I'm driving traffic to them because I said they were the best of the options available for Americans, and I was paying thousands of dollars of rake every day I played. But if they're so short-sighted they don't want it, I guess it is what it is. Chopped a PKO tournament the other day. Nice. Adam, this is an interesting question, right? Like if your opponent has a lot of bounties on them and you don't have a lot of bounties on you, I'm not exactly sure how this math works, so I'm certainly not a PKO pro, but I have to imagine that even if you are a shorter stack, if you have like no bounties and they have a ton, not exactly sure how the chopping worked specifically in this instance, but maybe you got a bad deal, maybe you didn't, I'm not sure. Let's see. When you're looking at a GTO chart and it says raise half the time, call half the time, how do you pick which time to call and which time to raise? random number generator, vary it. An easy way to do it is like, Michael Acevedo taught me this trick, GTO expert. He said essentially, like, if you're in a scenario where you're against someone who's probably a little bit too tight and you should normally re-raise or fold, just pick fold, like, every time. If you're against someone who is, playing too loosely, just re-raise every time, right? Basically, take either the aggressive or the passive option based on your opponent's tendencies. Otherwise, it's just random number generator, mix it out. Am I addicted to poker? No. I think if I could not play poker again for whatever reason, I would be perfectly fine. That said, I probably am addicted to playing some sort of game in general. I like playing games. Games are fun. I have to make sure that I don't fall into a pit where I'm just playing nonsense games like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. Similar strategy card games with variance and known information, just like poker, but they're not played for money, or at least not substantial money. And why would I spend my time on that if I could spend my time playing poker? Besides the fact that those games are more fun. Let's see, can I explain what volume means? Volume means playing a lot of games. If you play 1 million games, you will get the result that you, quote-unquote, deserve. Whereas if you play 20 games, you won't. Is intuition worth more than math? Understand that if you have a read, it essentially changes the range of your opponent. So you still have math involved. Your intuition / reads / opponent tendencies you've observed, whatever. All of that does is change the range that your opponent has. Okay? That's it. Also, people keep talking about Phil Nagy. Why are you talking about the guy? He has not contacted me in any way, as far as I know. How big of a monitor do I have to play 6 tournaments at a time? This big? I can play 12 on this monitor, no problem. I mean, there's sometimes overlap and whatnot. Take that back about Magic. Well, I mean, you can't play Magic for real money. It's unfortunate. Do I invest in Bitcoins? I have some Bitcoins. I have a lot of Decreds. Decred spiked the last few days. That's fun. It's probably just going to go back into the dumpster, though. If I never bought any altcoins, I'd have all the money right now. All right, let's see. What's my best advice for someone switching to poker over switching from Magic? So you used to play Magic, you're going to play poker. I tell you to stop playing Magic and play poker. You want to make sure... So look, something that's very important, people aren't necessarily like, but they need to probably hear, is that if you want to succeed in the world, in terms of financial wealth, influence, etc., you are going to need to play games that have a future, whatever that means. A long time ago, someone was bragging to me about how they were the best 6-handed pot limit Omaha sit-and-go player in the world. I looked it up. He was the biggest winner by a mile. But the problem was that only one $33 sit-and-go ran each day and then a bunch of $5 games. So this guy, as the biggest winner, was making about $2,000 a month. And he's devoted his life to this over the last year, getting good at this. Do you really want to devote your life to something to make $2,000 a month? Maybe that's good enough for you, maybe it's not. But I always generally try to push people into things, or nudge them into things. Don't push them. I nudge them into games or activities that can be good and life-changing, right? And I hate to break it to you, but you're probably not going to get rich playing Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or Mario Kart. I'm naming games that I like playing. You're probably not going to get rich and known in any of these things from playing those games. You need to find a game that people play for a lot of money. These are going to be things like investing, things like business, things like poker, No Limit Texas Hold'em particularly, right? You want to get good at something that has a future. That's what it amounts to. Can't believe you're early enough to catch the show live. Good morning, good morning. 7 a.m., 6:47 a.m. You cry every time you think about Magic. You got rid of thousands of dollars of cards for pennies. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Are there any situations you might play a hand that's not on your pre-flop chart? Sure. Easy example. Say you're on the button and the players in the blinds are both very tight. Raise any 2 cards, right? Say the players in the blinds are very loose. Raise tighter, right? You should always be adjusting to whatever your opponents do wrong. All right. Anyway, dealing with burnout. Look, do different things. Create free space. necessarily like the idea of taking a break. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to take a break from poker for a week and recoup or something like that. And I do think you need to clear your mind and have empty space so that you can think about things. It turns out when you're in the grind and you're grinding hard, you lose your creativity and you lose your curiosity about other things to some extent. But whenever you start to kind of get bored with doing nothing or whatnot, whenever you're not actually playing poker or working your job or whatever, you essentially start developing curiosities and start looking into other things, and you start getting excited about stuff because you want to go do it, right? And I would recommend that if possible, you try to free up mind space so that you can do other things. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I just made this gigantic tournament course, and I've been grinding it hard for like 3 or 4 months. It's the longest project I've ever been working on. The thing's going to be like 50 hours long total with a bunch of quizzes, and I mean, it's a masterpiece, but it was a heck of a work, okay? And I'm burnt out. I got to go to Vegas or something. I got to get out of here. I'm tired of standing in this office making videos all day. Like my throat would be dry. I have to drink this special throat coat tea that makes it to where your throat doesn't hurt anymore. But like, it's a grind, and I'm ready to go do something else. So anyway, changing things up, varying it will help you not get burnt out. I mean, I'm in a pretty good spot in life where I know I'm going to, well, pre-COVID at least, I would work about at home on the poker coaching business about 3 weeks a month, and I'd travel to play poker about 1 week a month. And that allowed me to semi-get burnt out on working on the business, go play poker, get semi-burnt out playing poker, come back, do the business, get semi-burnt out again doing that, and repeat that to the point where I'm never like fully burnt out at anything, right? But since COVID, I know a lot of people have been stuck at home, grinding it out hard, and at some point you got to change it up. At your skill level, is it possible to have a financially negative entire year? Depends on if I play what I'm playing, right? If I played live poker tournaments only, yeah. Because you only play, I mean, I just told you, if I'm playing 1 week a month, that is, let's call it 100 tournaments a year. Let's say I play 100 tournaments a year. Can you go on a 100 tournament downswing playing 1,000-person tournaments? Like, yeah, obviously. Are we having a Black Friday sale? Yes. Check out pokercoaching.com/all-access. You can actually check out everything I have for free from November 16th to November 20th. What were the 15 books I read before I started playing poker? The books I read back in the day were completely irrelevant for today. You see a future of Texas Hold'em. Or how do you guys see the future? I think it'll be fine. Our cash games online is still good. So something I'm going to be doing over the next few days is recording some cash game sessions. You all asked me to do that at various stakes. I've been playing a decent amount of 5-10 over the last few days, and it's been going pretty great. I actually assumed the games would be tough, but they're not. I mean, there are certainly some very good players in the games, but I'm winning, and I'm certainly not the best cash game player in the world. I just try to play good, fundamentally sound poker. Advice for building a network if you don't know anyone in poker. Go to pokercoaching.com, click on the community tab, and join the study group. Louis Philippe, who is here in this chat right now, has a study group. They're going to start doing the study right after this show. I think at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So check that out. Pokercoaching.com, click on the community tab, get in the Discord, go to the study group channel, and there's you a community right there. Huge thanks to Louis Philippe for making that happen. Can I see your message? Maybe. You want me to spend a day playing tiny stakes games? Well, first off, we already have a lot of content like that at pokercoaching.com. But, like I said, I have to come back and I have to be quarantined for 5 days, which means I don't have to deal with taking care of the kids for 5 days, which means I'm going to put in an online poker session every day for 5 days, and I'm going to play micro stakes cash games. I'm going to grind it hard for 1 day. I'm going to try to win various leaderboards or whatever, if we have that opportunity, just to see if we can do it. And play tiny stakes tournaments and try to win those. You all may not know this, but a long time ago, I made a video called Jonathan Little's Secrets back in the day. This must have been 10 years ago or something now. And I was told by a marketer who's one of my good friends, still works for me today. He basically said, play a bunch of $10 buy-in 180-person tournaments and just see what happens. So I sat down and played for 8 hours. And I won 200 buy-ins. I think I won 2 180-person tournaments and took a second. It was so funny. So, like, I could not have ran any hotter. And I guess I'll try to do that again, right? All right. Is this still on YouTube? The old video. That video is not on YouTube. That video might actually be in Poker Coaching Premium now that I'm thinking about it. You'll probably have access to it in the All Access Pass. Unless we took it down. We tried to take down some of the old stuff, but that was a particularly good one. So anyway, check that out. I have to get going. Again, if you want to study with Louis Philippe, they're going to be studying 100 big blind and 40 big blind charts and discussing the differences between those and the adjustments you should be making. Funny enough, I actually had a coaching session just the other day where someone was saying that they are more inclined to 3-bet. What was it? They were more inclined to call with hands like ace-jack offsuit deeper stack than 3-bet them. And if you look at the charts, that's actually just not true. So, you plugged the leak of someone, right? It's important to make sure you're studying the charts and you know the differences. And if you don't do that, well, you're going to be making little mistakes here and there. YouTube comments are not working. YouTube's definitely working. Go to youtube.com/pokercoaching. Literally, hundreds of people are there typing in questions right now, typing in comments. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here. Oh, there's my Aunt Lisa. Hello, Aunt Lisa. Have a great day. If you all like this, click like, click subscribe, click the notification bell. It'll go ding, ding, ding. Hope you have a great weekend. Make the most of it. Try to not get burnt out. Create some space to think and learn and thrive. Need 2,000 more subscribers to get to 70,000 on YouTube. Well, if you are watching this here, you want to give me a early Thanksgiving gift, click subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Have fun. Good luck. Make sure you check out the All Access Pass starting on the 16th.